Let me just say I'm really delighted to make these appointments, or at least to make announcements of appointments that we're making today, and appointments that we made that the press may not be fully aware of and the community may not be aware of. So first, let me say to Kimberly Morton, I knew there were rumors of her being Chief of Staff, and she was a Deputy Chief of Staff here and has been involved in city government for a number of years, and so I'm really proud to name her the Chief of Staff for the Mayor's office. Thank you. And we've been working together now for the last almost month, and we seem to gel, and she's got her hands full, and she's working hard, and as she always has, and we thank you and we're proud of you. Also, we announced Reginald Moore. Reginald Moore has been named the Director of Recreation and Parks. He comes to us from Macon County, Georgia, where he headed Parks and Recreation. I think he's been involved in Parks and Recreation now for about 19 years. He is also an adjunct professor at Mercer College and formerly a sports administrator for several organizations, including the Atlanta Falcons and the World Basketball League. His start date will be on July the 3rd. Folks have been asking me and asking me and asking me and asking me, who is going to head the Department of Transportation? Who's going to take that top job? And for the two agencies that would be created by separating the Housing Department, for the federally funded Housing Authority of Baltimore City, I made a commitment that when I became mayor, that I would separate housing and community development from the Housing Authority, because I think that they're two very important agencies that really do deserve major focus and experts that understand where the city is trying to go. As you well know, these things have taken time, because when I first came here, you know that we had to deal with the DOJ, the consent decree, and I remember sharing with you all, we did in 60 days, or 60 or more days, a little less, what some cities like New Orleans, with half the police force, took 14 months to do, and Ferguson with 50 police officers took 13 months to do. So we had to put a concentrated effort on that as well. We also were faced with the structural deficit of the Baltimore City public school system, which took a great deal of my time in Annapolis, focusing on how to bring the resources to bear to help our school system. But I am really happy to say to you all today that I think that through the help of Bloomberg Philanthropies and others, that we conducted an extensive search for these positions. The process was rigorous. I must say we conducted numerous panel interviews, followed by one-on-one interviews by myself. And I have selected these individuals that I'll share with you because I believe that they distinctly are fit to run the various departments that they will be appointed to. For the position, I feel like I need a drum of Director of Transportation, let me introduce you to Michelle Pouchot. Michelle? Michelle comes to us from Washington, D.C., where she worked her way up from the ranks to become head of the D.C. Department of Transportation, where she accomplished some wonderful things, including designing bike lanes. She also managed the district's photo enforcement program before going into consulting. I'm sure that her experience will come in handy here in Baltimore, and we're very excited about her role. She has been in the private sector and an extensive period of time in the public sector, and she brings her expertise to Baltimore. A new resident. Next we have Janet Abrams. Janet Abrams, most recently the Senior Vice President for Next Generation Operations with the New York City Housing Authority. Janet is very familiar with housing in cities such as Baltimore because she previously worked in the industry in Newark, New Jersey, and Chicago. All of those rank among the largest housing authorities in the country. And last but not least, this morning we have a familiar face, someone that I have videos of.
Definitely taking this job.
And I have decided that Michael Braverman should be the Director of Housing and Community Development. He has been with the city for 30 years. And I always tease him because he looks like a little boy.
I think this will age me.
About a decade ago, he served as prosecutor in the state's attorney's office, and he has been the interim director for our housing department. Michael is well known around these parts. He is a trusted individual. He understands housing, and I'm very excited about his role to lead this agency. But let me also say to those who served in interim positions, thank you for holding down the fort, and thank you for being support for our incoming administrators. I know that you all are looking forward to the leadership, and I'm grateful for the leadership that was in place to help us to get to this point. So I give you all a round of applause. So I just wanted to give each of our individuals a chance to say a few words, and we'll move forward. And we'll begin with Michelle.
Thank you, Mayor Pugh. I'm very excited about coming to Baltimore and running the Department of Transportation. It really takes me back to my passion of public service and providing transportation for people and looking at all modes of travel. And I think there's a wonderful opportunity here in Baltimore to grow what's already started and make it that much better. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the mayor and the Housing Authority Board for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I am very excited and look forward to joining this wonderful team so that we can make some great things happen here. Thank you.
Michael, did you want to say anything, or did you want me to just show the video?
I think I better say something, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say this is a great opportunity. We know that there are, and thank you, Mayor, for giving me that opportunity. I'm proud to be in the position. We have some extraordinary people in Baltimore City. We have some challenges. We have some extraordinary opportunities, some great strengths. Our community organizations, our community leaders, our nonprofit developers, our philanthropies, and our for-profit developers that we can work together with to achieve great things in our neighborhoods. So, Madam Mayor, I know you're tasking me to implement, your focus on a community development vision that revitalizes our neighborhoods, and I look forward to working on that with you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity.
Any questions for them?
Can you talk a little bit more about why you think it's important to split the housing authority and the department?
Well, I think I talked about that earlier, because if you go to Boston, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, St. Louis, name almost Washington, D.C., almost any major city in this nation, those agencies are separate because you can apply for separate federal funding, and it creates confusion. And I know that in some cases when you overlap agencies, you can get some good things, but our issues in Baltimore are really important to be focused. And I think the members of the board of the Housing Authority would say to you that this is the right thing for us to do. They deserve the kind of focus. We have some of our buildings that have been built, or projects that have been built, that don't even accommodate young people. There's no recreation facilities around them, and it is about how we treat people who live in our city. Going after federal dollars as it relates to the Housing Authority is a different approach than the dollars that we will go after for housing and community development. And so I'm excited. I said this day one, that this was something that I thought was necessary, especially when I looked at other cities, what they were doing, what they were able to accomplish. And I think splitting these two agencies will allow us to accomplish a lot more together.
Madam Mayor, can you, and forgive me if I haven't heard you talk about this personally, but could you discuss what you're looking for as far as what you want the transportation department to do for the city?
Well, I think what every mayor would want in every city. We want to make sure that we're accommodating every mode of transportation. We also want to look at the future of transportation in Baltimore. We want to make sure that when we work on getting people to work at a more, a faster rate. We know, for example, to get to the airport in Arundel Mills at certain hours, it's 2.5 hours because the trains don't run all the time, the buses don't go direct, light rail doesn't get there when folks need to get there. So we're working with, and I know that my transportation director will do this, we're working with the BWI partnership because one of the conversations that we're having is we know that there are lots of people who work out there, and when we talk to the hotel owners out there, they say 60% of their workers come from Baltimore. So what we're having conversations about shifts. Like if you're starting your workers at 8 and somebody else is starting theirs at 8:30 and somebody's starting theirs at 7:30, is there a way that we can, even with our shifts, begin to focus so that we can maximize transportation opportunities that way? So I'm excited about the work of transportation, even when we think about, you know, our bike lanes and making sure that we're accommodating bikers in our city and that we dot our I's and cross all our T's, but we make transportation modes available for everybody in our city. I think she's got a big job ahead of her, but what I do know is she's up for that job.
How important is the continuity that Mr. Braverman brings to implementing this vision for development in the neighborhoods?
Let me say about Michael Braverman, 30 years of experience in city government, and what I loved about this process is that we got a chance to see other housing and community directors from around the nation, and Michael can compete with the best of them, and that's what made me proud. You always want to look inside to see if you have that expertise inside and capacity and capability inside, and we were able to do that. I've gotten to know Michael quite well just in these 7 months that I've been here. And I'm teasing about the video, but I do have one. I mean, I've met his parents, I know his family, but I know his work ethic. You know, he's not a person that comes to work at 8:30 and is out the door at 5. He's a person who has developed relationships, who knows how to communicate, who knows how to partner. He reminds me a lot of Pete in many ways. When we were in Annapolis, I'm talking about Pete Hammond, in Annapolis, everybody always knew if you were dealing with Pete Hammond that at some point you're going to come to a conclusion and most folks are going to be satisfied. That's how I feel about Michael Braverman.
Madam Mayor, going back to the Department of Transportation, how do you see the circulator fitting into your overall plan for the city? It's been operating as a deficit, as you know. What do you see the future of that program being?
Well, let me just say, we've certainly not given up in any means on the circulator. We're also having conversations with the universities to see if there's some kind of way we can match the circulator with some of the free transportation that they're providing, because they've even had conversations with us about how some of those bus, the way that they travel overlap the circulator. So we're still having those conversations. We think there's a great benefit to the circular. And I remember when I was first introduced to a system such as that, I was in Denver. I was there for the Democratic Convention. They said, well, you know, you can get on here and ride anywhere in the downtown area for free. I was like, for free? Because we had not really implemented it then. I think we have a lot of work to do with the circulator, and I'm going to leave that to Michelle. That's going to be part of her responsibility. Work it out.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned the bike lanes. I was just wondering if you guys have had any further discussions on, you know, how to satisfy both sides of that.
We will have a way to satisfy both sides.
Yeah.
But again, that will be up to our transportation. And we're having good conversations and we're excited about it.
And one other thing, just do you have the salaries figured out for these positions already? Is that something that's...
I think that'll all be published.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay. Alrighty. No question today? Surprised. All right.
Other topics, are we done with this yet?
Okay. Well, let me say thank you to everybody and to the board. Thank you for your work as well, because you all were involved in this greatly and we appreciate it. Thank you, dear.
Excuse me, board members, we can exit this way, please.
More to come.
Which one?
Question?
Yeah, regarding the steam pipe incident yesterday and the asbestos.
I think it's day before yesterday,
Or
when
the day
first,
before,
yeah.
yeah.
I think yesterday was when we learned that there was some asbestos around the pipes. We're still waiting for all the tests to come back. They said that it's not of a harmful nature, but we still need to make sure, because there's a lot of testing going on. I know that we want to make sure that we clear that site in a way that is healthy for the environment of the city of Baltimore. That is now in the hands of Veola. I have not gotten an additional report, but as soon as I do, I'll be more than willing to share that.
Is there an independent company coming in to evaluate and assess that?
We'll check with the city, with our law department and our transportation department.
Mayor Pugh, can you comment on the lawsuit being brought against the city?
No, I can't. No.
And going back to the steam, any surprise that they have asbestos under there, or do you worry that it could?
Well, let me just say, I'm surprised, first of all, that the pipes blew up. Very surprised. When things like this happen, you cannot predict all that is surrounding it. And that's why I think it is proper that this be thoroughly investigated, that we make sure that nothing is contaminated to the extent that it hurts not only our environment, but it hurts the citizens or the people. Because remember now, we also had visitors in Baltimore, folks near the hotel. So we will go back and have a discussion with our Department of Transportation and next steps for us as a city to make sure that we're protecting our citizens.
Madam Mayor, the Renaissance development, you've heard of the 70 sites, $10 billion redesign and fixing up the city. How will that interact and how will this Renaissance development work with Michael Braverman and the new head of the Housing Authority to work into the communities and really address community concerns when it comes to development in the area? Okay,
let me just say, one of the reasons we chose Mr. Braverman is because he does know how to interact with communities and neighborhoods. What we're trying to make sure happens as we move forward is that development is led by us. We need public-private partnerships, but we also need to make sure that the citizens are heard and protected. It's the same thing with transportation. Having this discussion about how people travel, I mean, even if you have a link bus system, the question becomes, is it really linked to all of the places that we need people to be able to get to? There's been a big discussion, like, for example, about that last mile. When you think about Amazon, even the hotel, there are industries that are all around us, and that's why I said this is a great first step, but we've got a lot to do. We will hear the communities. I'm sure that there's a process through the Housing and Community Development, working with Michael Braverman. We'll do that.
Do you think that, in your opinion, do you think that more community associations should be establishing CDCs in order to have someone in their best, to advocate for their best interests? So what we've done, partially as a part of the call to action, is we're working with, and you'll see Michael Braverman working with communities to help develop and expand CDCs. For example, when you think about Druid Heights, there is a community development corporation over there. But what do they need in order to be able to access capital, or what is it that they need in order to begin some more development over in that area? When you think about Druid Hill Avenue, all of those border houses there, I mean, that's in their CDC purview. So we've got to be educating and supporting these groups. And there are some groups whose CDCs who are much more sophisticated than others, but that information has to be shared across the board, and we're going to work on that.
Madam Mayor, do you have any initial thoughts about how the Baltimore Link system has rolled out this week?
It rolled out.
I mean, or have you received?
So I think we're hearing both sides. We have people who say, it's great for us. I've heard people say they cut out my bus route. And so it's a first step. And when you do things like that, they deserve a review, and you got to hear from the people. And like I said, when I think about getting to BWI and to that particular part of the city, part of the state, We got to make sure that the buses are linking to those job opportunity areas. Amazon, Social Security, the airport, Arundel Mills, those are right around the circumference of Baltimore City, and we got to make sure people are able to get there.
When the system was announced a little more than a year ago, you said it was a good first step. Do you still hold with that opinion?
Yeah, it's a good first step.
Okay.
I mean, we've not invested in our bus system for years, and it's proper that we do that. That does not solve all of the transportation problems of Baltimore City. We still need rapid transportation in areas. So there's still a look at the rapid rail from Baltimore to D.C. We're becoming a bedroom community for a lot of people who work in D.C. When I cut the ribbon at 500 Park Avenue, I think it's 60% of the people who have moved to that particular building are not from Baltimore City. And it's 40% filled already. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.